Hello friends, it's Aubrey at Crybaby Sentimental Homestead, and I'm out here in the very dilapidated glass greenhouse, and I thought I'd talk about this brassica plant, and I honestly don't know what it is. It could have been collards or cabbage or anything, I don't know, but it still has life. Look at that. Yeah, it still has some little flowers going on, but it also has seeds. And unlike the seeds I showed in one of my other videos, these are viable because it has not been wet in here. So they're exposed to cold, but not to heat. So I'm going to be collecting these seed pods, and I will get the seeds out of them to see for next year. Now I know it will be a mystery as to what it was growing here. Now, it was something that I had growing in a solo cup, and then I transplanted it into here. It was basically stunted a little bit, and then this container here really isn't big enough for a plant this size. It really works better for hens and chicks, strawberries, maybe a single bush bean plant, smaller herbs. And so after being stunted and then being placed in here and totally neglected, I still am going to be getting a lot of seeds out of this. And whatever it is, whatever kind of brassica it is edible. The leaves are edible, and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and collect these, and I'm going to label it mystery brassica seed. And it's not the first time I've done that. That happens to me a lot. So I should probably get better at labeling my plants. But at least it's not a full loss on the seeds. I'm going to tuck some into my pocket. That's one of the things about me is I have to always check when I do laundry to see if I have seeds in my pockets, because I often do. And even though it's December, I am still gathering seeds, still finding cool things. Seed saving is a wonderful thing to do. It will save you a lot of money. So if you think, if you know, each of these seed pods has more than 2 seeds, but some have 8, some have 2, some have more. It has less than if it was outside because of the pollination issues inside of a mostly enclosed space. It's not going to be as high as if it were outside. But one of the cool things about planting your own seeds and letting them go and forgetting about them even is kind of an okay thing. A lot of people like to rip their plants out as soon as they're done, and I don't like to do that. One, I like to leave some things for the birds. This is a very hungry time of year for them. And so I like to let them at least have something to eat. I often find little finches and other little birds finding a meal. They really liked the daikon seed pods that were left over last year. And I still had some left that I was able to plant. I had way more than I needed, so I was happy to share with the birds. So I just keep collecting these. Even if you're getting a really good deal on your seeds, like you buy them at the Dollar Tree or whatever, a lot of times the varieties you want may not be there. Sometimes certain varieties are really popular. Sometimes they're not. Oh, look at this. I found a pest. You can see there's a little hole right here. So I'm not going to collect that seed. So I'm trying to just collect the ones that don't have holes in them, because I don't want to deal with bringing insects into the house, because I will bring these inside. Oh, there's another one. See, I don't know what the Native American saying is, but there was something like you grow a portion for yourself and a portion for nature, and that's definitely true. And if you think of it that way, when you have a loss, like you have some seeds that get eaten by birds or rodents or something outside, which is never ideal, but when it happens, you think of it as, some for nature, some for us, and some for weather. So sometimes the weather doesn't quite cooperate, and that plant material might just go back to composting and adding back to the soil. So some for the weather and the earth, some for nature, and some for us. In really bleak and dire times, if you had birds eating your plants, or if you had rodents or insects getting into your seeds, that would be devastating. And so that's one thing you need to think about. I think it's so I love gardening. Absolutely love it. It's a lot of fun. Farming is a lot of work. And for people who do farm, there's a reason. And like I'm privileged. I don't need to use fertilizers. I don't need to use synthetic pesticides, things like that, because I'm doing this for fun, right? And we eat what we grow and everything, but I can go to the grocery store. If you're a farmer and your income is based on how much you sell, and you have insect holes in your produce, you can't sell that, right? And that means your livelihood. So I do have some compassion, obviously more than just some. I have compassion for that. When I'm in the store, I like to buy organic, but I'll be honest, I don't always buy organic. If I'm going to save the seeds and try to grow some of the produce from scraps, I like it to be organic, because that way if I do end up saving seed from that plant that grows, then it's less likely that I will encounter GMOs and so forth. So the idea here is grow what you can, as much as you can, and protect it. Don't grieve over it if it doesn't go well. Learn from the failures that you have. I often see like prepping videos that talk about SHTF, or the world as we know it is gone. Then people can just have a garden, and anybody who's farmed or who has gardened anything other than just like flowers would know and appreciate the irony in that, or like maybe the being kind of naive. It's kind of a naive thought that you're gonna, on a first year garden, that you're gonna grow enough food to feed your family, feed yourself, let alone your family, enough that you're actually going to be satisfied. And in reality, you'd be going to bed hungry every night. You would be very mindful about how much you're wasting. You'd have to ration your food. I'm definitely not discouraging anybody from planting like a victory garden. It's very wise to do so. However, it's a learning process. Even people who are really good at gardening, who've been doing it for decades, they have bad crops. They have bad years, and these probably only have like one seed each. They have bad years where very little grows, or the quality isn't that good, or the plants, they produce something but not the same yield, not the same flavor, or the one that you don't really care about, the one that you really don't like so much, is the one that grows the best, and the one you really wanted didn't grow very well at all. And so if anything were to really happen, growing a garden, especially a small garden, is not going to be enough to sustain your family. It's not going to be enough to sustain your own belly. And a lot of the produce that you grow, you'll have to find a way of preserving it. So, whether that's freezing if you have electricity, or cold storage, drying them, doing jellies and jams, and that kind of stuff would probably be good for beginners like myself. I haven't even made my first jelly or jam yet, and I've been gardening for decades. And I was in 4-H and as a child, in FFA in high school, and I have a a science degree, a degree in biology, and I can still tell you that if I had not had some experience gardening, that first, you're going to have a lot of mistakes, and experience is the best teacher. So all of that book knowledge doesn't translate to much. I mean, it's a good start, but you got to do it. You have to have the hands-on learning. You have to actually learn how to save your seeds, learn how to preserve your harvest if you have enough to save. It's very naive to think that you are going to get enough produce out of a small space to feed your family forever. So what you have to do is you have to have other resources stocked up. I mean, everyone talks about dried beans and rice and things like that. You should have a pantry, If you don't have a pantry, then that needs to be where you start. And maybe start with the cheapest things like rice and beans, or jellies and jams and peanut butter, soup mixes, top ramen. I mean, I know everyone talks about top ramen so bad. If you're starving, even if it's for a week, you'll be really happy that you have that. If you like oatmeal, anything that you'll eat, you don't want to stock up on anything that you won't eat. This looks so ugly, but I'm going to get seeds out of this, right? And that will be some plant material I can grow in the future. Now, I don't even know what this is. If it ends up being something I don't want, I can feed it to my chickens, right? But I know that this is something I planted on purpose, and I know it's a brassica, so I know it's edible. And I just can't waste the seeds. It's edible, and it will be, since it's like such a bad condition right now, to be able to identify it for myself. I mean, maybe you can, if you've grown this before. This has to either be collards. I don't think it's broccoli. Maybe I'm thinking maybe it's collards or some kind of not cabbage, but just some kind of brassica, you guys. So I'm just saving the seeds because I have them here. Why wouldn't I save them? And I'm going to leave some on here because I leave this greenhouse open, and I do see birds come in here, and they will eat the seed pods. So I have enough. I've got my pockets full, and I'm going to save those seeds. But I'm going to spin over here for a second. Look at this. Isn't that neat? This is our Nopalitos cactus, the prickly pear, and it's very, very prickly, and it flowered and produced these fruits, which I'm not harvesting. I want to actually collect the seed from them. And even in Pacific Northwest, Zone 8, it's snowing outside. It's super cold in here. There's only just a little bit of protection from the glass here. I know another person who has the same plant, completely unprotected, and it's growing fine too. So you can grow these pads can be eaten. Of course, you have to take the spikes out, and I don't have experience doing that, but I have a lot of experience propagating the cuttings. And here are some of the cuttings that I've pulled pads off of that Nopalitos, and I have stuck it in here, and they have been growing for now. I think this has been 2 years. So in the spring, I will transplant each one of these pods into their own containers. I was talking to a friend of mine who lives in Texas. Definitely different environment there. But they said that when the pads first start producing their spines, that you can actually, I don't know, like use like a scrubber or something and scrub them off so that they don't form these large spines on here, and they will not grow a replacement spine for anywhere you knock one off. So that's good to know. So these are propagated cuttings from Nopalitos prickly pear cactus.